Here is the defence statement for Mount Orgueil, or locally known as Gory Castle. The first point you may have heard the prosecution raise was that of similar experiences, numbness and tingling, a sensation that was experienced by several people on that evening. What I would ask you to bring into account was that the evening itself was quite chilly, and of course the whole castle is riddled with drafts. It could simply be changes in temperature, drafts where it wasn't expected, causing sensation on the skin to resemble that of numbness and tingling. In one of the locations, there was also the reported of the sensing of children. Now, on examination of this location, at the end of the room, there's almost like a sculptor which has handles on it at children's height, so you can turn the handles and see the figures dancing around behind the bars. This, I think, would suggest that children would play with that piece of apparatus and therefore give you the sense of children. Another part of the prosecution's evidence is that of a woman picked up by people with blood running down her face. What's known about this castle, it used to hold the witches of Jersey back in history. The fact that she's got blood running down her face may simply be the images of what you may expect an imprisoned witch to look like. As for bum pinching, we were aware before we entered the castle of an experience that happened to the previous year. We were aware of that, and so would have the Pigs investigator. Now, what I can't discount at the point is that that was a piece of conversation that was said, picked up on and overheard, and therefore the suggestion of the sensation is what took place in the tower. Now, whilst the Pigs investigator herself reported the sensation of a hand on her upper arm, I would take that as credible, although I cannot present it as evidence simply because we have no recorded media of this taking place. The other claim was that feeling uncomfortable in certain parts of a location. You have to look at this seriously and put it down to things like if you looked into a room where there was like a dark corner, maybe an uncomfortable doorway, most people would pick up on the fact that it was more uncomfortable closer to those objects. In terms of the EVP, I cannot tell you that the origin of the recording is paranormal. I can simply say, yes, it's a recording which we have no explanation of where the audio came from. And that's exactly it, no explanation. I can't tell you where it didn't come from. And lastly, the CCTV witness, which was Kieran O'Keefe. I don't think you could get much more of a credible witness, but we cannot find this piece of footage, and therefore it comes down to being a piece of hearsay evidence once again. So I would ask you to consider the points that I've made in defence of Mount Orgueil Castle, and based upon the defence statement for the findings of the prosecution, I'd have to ask you to consider the fact that we do not have any evidence to back up solidly that Mount Orgueil is haunted at this stage. So therefore, I'd ask you to record a not guilty or open verdict on Mount Orgueil Castle.